Hey, I'm Fox.
And I'm Zoe.
And we were going to review The Dark Knight, but you know what? We did you one better. So The Dark Knight, the second in the trilogy, Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. I really do forget that it is a trilogy. It does not feel at all connected to the first one. I know the beats with the whole narrative beats with like the cops, I guess, being crooked, but that it doesn't really.
Yeah.
We see Scarecrow for like 2 minutes in the beginning. What really does it for me is that the first film and the second film look so different from each other.
Yeah.
Like, they're completely divorced from each other. That's why I cannot consider it a trilogy.
Absolutely. Like, it's entirely different visual styles. I would be, like, if you told me that Christopher Nolan didn't make Batman Begins and just came in for Dark Knight Rises, I'd be like, yeah, that fits.
Absolutely. Like, you can absolutely see just in the architecture alone. And it's not like Bruce ever recreated a monorail? Or a train?
Yeah.
Something like that. He didn't recreate that. He didn't bring public transport back to Gotham. It kind of seems like he's done nothing with his wealth except dress up as a bat.
Yeah.
And destroy buildings. He destroys so much shit. And like, sometimes, okay, I get it, it happens in battle, but it comes off as unnecessary. Especially when they're in this parking garage. He just bursts through the concrete in the fucking tank. He didn't need to do that. It was completely unnecessary. He can drive his tank up the floors like a normal fucking driver without issues. The fucking tank fits in the parking lot. Which is maybe a little weird. I don't know. It's kind of a small tank. But I don't know. That's a minor gripe amongst everything else.
Right. We've got issues with this movie, but we'll say, out of the trilogy, it is the best. We both agreed on that.
It would be hard to be worse than the third one.
Right. I don't think anything was in. I don't think there was any competition in regards to that.
I did enjoy this movie for what it is. I'm not going to say that, like, oh, it's the best fucking Batman movie ever. Christopher Nolan, I love you. You know the character so well. I'll say none of that. And in fact, good sir, I will say the opposite. Pick up some comics in your life, goddammit.
Right. Okay, so let's avoid getting knocked off topic.
Oh, that's a hard request, but I'll do my best.
I'm going to try harder to really keep us focused, if only for my own sanity. Dark Knight plot is fairly simple, like when you really break it down. So Batman has been doing his thing for a couple years at this point. Mob is starting to lose some power, and Joker shows up. He technically showed up at the very end of Batman Begins, but he shows up in force now. He robs a mob bank, which forces the mob is like this act kind of like clues in the mob to like figuring out that their money's being tracked by Gordon and his unit, so they have to get their funds out of the country, and they do so through a corrupt Chinese businessman named Lau, who escapes America, and then Batman does a cool action scene and brings him back.
I will say that was good.
Yeah.
That was all fun.
Yeah, and then the Joker starts killing people after the mob is like we'll give you a bunch of money to kill Batman. And then Joker starts killing a bunch of people, and then it's just a bunch of like Heath Ledger just chewing scenery for a bit. He just kills more and more people and threatens to kill people and tries to kill Harvey Dent and fails. And tries to kill Rachel Dawes and fails. And then he kills Commissioner Loeb, and Commissioner Gordon takes his place. And then he successfully kills Rachel Dawes and turns Harvey into Two-Face. And then he tries to kill more people on boats, and then Batman stops him. The last 2/3 of this movie is just the Joker trying to kill people, and then Batman stops him.
Which is fine. It's fun.
It's great. I mean, like, Heath Ledger, rest in peace, rest his soul, chews scenery like no one fucking else.
He is the saddest Joker. Like, this depiction of the Joker there is this deep sadness and unhingedness in him, unlike any other depiction.
I can see where you're coming from. I don't know if I would necessarily describe him like that, though.
That's fair. It's just he really is unlike the high energy, woohoo, Batman sort of guy.
I know what you're referring to.
Was that a little too much Mickey Mouse? I feel like there was a hint of Mickey in there.
Yeah. You got a little bit of mouse in your mouth.
I did not like that sentence.
Yeah, he didn't like it either. I get what you're talking about. Like, because this was one of like the first big forays away from like silly cartoonish Joker to a more serious, deadly Joker. It's really pushing hard in that direction, and Heath Ledger does really well. I want to take a moment. I want to just do a quick little thing of like, it's incredibly unfortunate about what happened to Heath Ledger following this movie. And if I hear any of you motherfuckers saying that he was torturing himself to get in the role for fucking Joker by spending his nights in abandoned fucking like motel rooms and like in complete squalor and horrible conditions just so he could think like the Joker? No, that's actually not what fucking happened. No, it's a guy who had a lot of mental health issues who was pretending that he was doing shit related to his job so people would get off his back. Heath Ledger needed help and people just ignored him because we're okay with fucking the actors doing horrible shit to themselves and others for the sake of art. Fuck that.
It is incredibly tragic, and we do need... I mean, there are things in place to, like, protect actors, but not enough.
Yeah, definitely. Also, a freezing cold take, Jared Leto needs to go to jail for sexual harassment.
Yeah.
What would you call sending a filled condom to a coworker?
I would call it sexual harassment.
Right.
And
he calls it method acting.
He deserves to have his face method acted with a fist.
That didn't really work.
Something. Punch Jared Leto in the face.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Anyways, I know it's a whole thing. It's really unfortunate, and I want to make it very clear because we're going to be talking a lot about Heath Ledger's performance because it is by far the best thing in this movie.
Absolutely.
No art is worth somebody's life, and I just want to make that very clear because a lot of people, fucking in the wake of this, and even today, are like, well, it's such a sad thing, but he had such a great performance. I hear that all the fucking time whenever people talk about this movie.
People love the sort of suffering, starving artist romanticized mindset.
Yeah.
They love it. It enables them to sort of other artists of all sorts and to not feel that it's necessary to give them the help because, like, oh, well, the artist types, that's just what they have to do for their art.
Right.
They must suffer. They've chosen this.
Yeah, and it frustrates me to no end. But yeah, a lot of the plot is just, Heath Ledger chewing scenery as the Joker, and he does an amazing job at it. It's really it's like that. Heath Ledger chewing scenery is what really makes this movie good. That and Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox, Michael Caine as Alfred, and then Gary Oldman as Gordon. Those are really the only things that make this movie any good, because there's not a lot of substance. Like with every Christopher Nolan movie, and especially the Batman ones, there's no actual substance to what's going on here. It is all ephemera. It is all random ass scenes where 3 actors can have as much leeway as possible to act out a scene. And it's not the worst thing in the world. I'll say that. It's not a horrible thing that he makes movies where some actors can act their fucking heart out. But there's really nothing else there. There is no meaning or plot to The Dark Knight. There wasn't for Batman Begins, and there wasn't for Dark Knight Rises. There wasn't anything actually there. He tried a little bit with Dark Knight Rises. I will give him credit for that. He tried. He did not succeed. He did not try with Dark Knight.
He gets partial credit for The Dark Knight Rises.
Right.
I'm not giving him full credit. It's half a credit.
He did not try to say anything with Dark Knight. And it's a shame. It is a shame, ultimately. Because, yes, we can have actors chewing scenery. Yes, we can have great performances. Yes, we can have these really fun experiences that we can enjoy watching. But when there's nothing to really tie it all together, when there's nothing to make it a movie, there's nothing that'll keep the experience in my soul for the rest of my life. I won't forget that I've watched The Dark Knight, but I couldn't tell you what was actually going on unless I watched it recently. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's really nothing there. And I really, really, really wish that Christopher Nolan actually made movies instead of fucking 2+ hour long skits.
That would be nice. I will say I liked Two-Face's makeup.
Well, that was good. Yeah, that was actually pretty smart. But I would say yes, and credit to both makeup and CGI people. Because a lot of it was makeup, but then there was CGI on top to make the makeup look deeper in instead of put on. And they do a great job with that.
Yeah, absolutely. That looks really good. Especially for the time when this movie came out, which was
2008.
2008, thank you.
So that's the plot. It's not a lot. Not a lot there. And it's been the case for a good amount of the movies that we've watched.
There's a lot of little action pieces with something that's almost like a society commentary.
There's exactly one scene where any amount of commentary is made, and it's in the best scene of the movie. It's with Joker in the interrogation room. Wait, I'm sorry. There's 2 scenes. There's 2 scenes with any amount of commentary. One is the best, one is the worst scene. You know the other one. The other one is the ending scene.
Oh, fucking...
After Two-Face's death.
Yeah, I guess we should say there is a little more to the end of the movie.
Right.
Where...
Two-Face kidnaps Gordon's family.
Because he's distraught over Rachel's death because, she had just decided to get married to him.
Yeah. He tries to kill people. He doesn't. He killed people earlier in the movie, but he doesn't kill anybody in this scene.
Right, no.
And then he gets thrown off of a building and dies.
And then, for no good reason, no fucking reason at all, Batman's like, you can pin this on me. Why?
Yeah.
No one saw it. There's no evidence that Harvey Dent didn't just, like, stumble himself and fall. And
Right, but, like, even if...
But, like, you could just blame it on the Joker. Even if the Joker says, hey, I didn't do it, Batman did it, who the fuck's going to listen to the goddamn maniac clown in makeup?
Also, well, the main thing that Batman is saying that I did this is his previous murders, where he murders a couple cops and some mob people. And Batman's like, I killed the other people. And then also, incidentally, I killed Harvey Dent. The main thing he's doing is the other people, which is, like, cops.
Even then, it's just like, where is the evidence that their deaths were related at all to anything that's been happening? The mob boss, none.
The mob boss is going to be a lot harder because that was because of a car accident from him shooting the driver, which fucks up a lot of the evidence. But for the bar and the one cop he left alive that he talked to, there is evidence against him. There is the cop's testimony. There's also bullet casing and evidence from his personal gun.
Sure. But at that moment in time, everyone thought that Harvey Dent... Well, actually, the public, I believe, was told that Harvey Dent was fine and in custody. They were keeping it hush-hush.
Yeah.
But, anyone else thought that he had been kidnapped by the Joker. I mean, it's so easy to say, one of Joker's goons, or even the Joker himself, stole Harvey Dent's gun. Or was it even Harvey Dent's personal gun?
Thinking about it, I'm not sure, because I think the Joker did give him the gun.
Yeah, oh my god, it's the Joker's fucking gun! I mean, who knows where the Joker got it from? Right,
there's ways that it could be like this wasn't Harvey Dent, but it wasn't Batman either, but he just decided to do it, because it's a lead into The Dark Knight Rises.
It's ridiculous. It makes there's no good reason. That is poor fucking writing, top to bottom.
The reason is that he wanted to do The Dark Knight Returns in the next movie. That's it. So this is how he did it. He's like, I gotta do this, so I'm doing it.
So fucking ridiculous. I just put a little bit more thought into your fucking actions when you write.
Yeah. Also, another note about that scene that we found that was pretty funny. So in these movies, Barbara Gordon is his wife, not his daughter, and is not Oracle. The Barbara Gordon from the comics doesn't exist in this world.
But he
has a son instead who is called James, and we only know that because we looked it up on IMDb. He also has a daughter that shows up for about 2 seconds. And
we do not see her face because she's weeping into her mother's lap.
And her name is not given even in the credits. She's not on IMDb, but she is in the credits. Though James Gordon, the kid,
who had some lines,
is on IMDb, but is not in the credits.
What? And I cannot stress this enough. The fuck.
It's a weird thing.
Why, Jim? Why would you name your son James? Why would you do that? I think it's weird when parents name their kids after themselves.
Right.
In real life, that's weird. Here, why have you made this fake son that didn't exist in the comics? I understand why you made Rachel, because it's this power fantasy of yourself, Nolan. You just want a woman you find attractive.
And then you want to kill her.
Yes, to further your own man pain. Why? Why any of this?
It's real weird.
On the topic, though, of Rachel dying, this is going to sound bad.
Rachel finally fulfilled her purpose.
Yep. To die and further the man pain.
Took her a movie longer than it really should have. She didn't do anything in the first movie.
And she does even less here. And the movie improves when she's dead.
Oh, absolutely.
That sounds horrible.
It was hard to watch until Rachel died.
She's not a good character.
The new actor for her was worse. It's a worse actor.
Oh, was it a new actor?
No, we talked about this before we watched the movie. We talked when we watched Batman Begins that they had a different actor moving into the next one. We had a whole conversation about it. And obviously it's a different fucking actor. She looks completely different.
I'm very face blind.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
It's a brunette white woman. I didn't see the difference. Sorry, brunette white women.
We're absolutely all cutting that out. Because I don't think me reading an IMDb page is going to be interesting. So, if you're just catching us back after that weird cut, she has apparently been in a good number of things. I do not care about her. I did not like her performance in this movie. I don't think she's a great actor. Maybe she's done better in other movies.
I mean, to be fair to her, it may just be the role.
It may just be the role. She doesn't have a lot to work with Rachel. I'll give her that. None of these other movies seem interesting to me, so I don't think I'm actually going to see her in any of her other performances. But I'm not going to say outright that she's a bad actor. I'll just say I didn't like her performance. She was worse than original Rachel.
I just hate Rachel so much.
Rachel's a horrible character. Rachel does nothing in 2 movies.
She's there, honestly, to nag and to be a love interest, and then to be fridged for the man pain.
For double man pain.
Double man pain.
We got 2 for the price of 1, baby.
There's fucking Batman who really fucking still loves her because he can't get over anything. He has so many issues, that a poor sad rich bastard. And then Harvey Dent, for some reason, really is into her.
Yeah, that's also not a thing in the comics.
And then also in the movie, it's just, there was no chemistry. There was no, you couldn't see a real reason why either of these characters would be interested in each other, except that they're both white people in a position of power.
Who aren't immediately corrupt.
Correct. Which I guess, in Gotham, you take what you can get, I guess.
Yeah, but she fucking acts like it's true love.
Yeah, it's bad. He is always, here's the thing, he's always acting like he's just head over heels for this girl, and there are just points where she, really actually seems uninterested in Harvey Dent, and she's just stringing him along to fuck with Bruce, or to make herself love him. Yeah,
there's several scenes where she is just deep in her soul frustrated with Harvey. And, I get frustrated with you. I don't get that frustrated.
You're not frustrated with me every interaction we have.
Yeah, and it's not like your presence is annoying. You'll do a very specific thing, and I'm like, oh my god. But,
but most people are like that with me. That's just gremlin mode.
Right. And Harvey's not a gremlin, so he doesn't have that excuse. It's just a problem. We're off topic. We've gone too long on this.
Right.
We got to get to the remix.
Let's just see what other notes I have really quick about the movie itself. My first note here is The Dark Knight has really bad politics.
Christopher Nolan has really bad politics.
Yeah, the rich white people are just all seen as innocent bystanders. Completely separate from the mob or crooked cops, and it's just no, all of these things are intertwined in reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize this is a show about a man dressed as a bat, but you're trying to get some realism in here, come on. I also have it in here, Nolan does not understand Batman. I think we've already covered that.
A little bit, yeah.
Alfred. I want to talk about Alfred real quick. He doesn't get as much screen time as he did previously.
He's got 10 minutes of screen time.
His biggest moment, really, is when he's talking to Bruce, and they're talking about the Joker and the Joker's motives, And it's the famous line, "Some people want to watch the world burn."
That whole story.
And I mean, that line itself, yeah, that's a good line. Except the story that precedes it is about, I believe, the Burmese government wanting to, like, do something to, like, the tribes.
Well, no, it was they were moving precious gems from their mines to like their main thing, and then they kept getting raided by mercenaries near a local village, and they couldn't stop the mercenaries. They would, like, after they attacked, they would go so quickly that they couldn't really properly respond or shut them down. They couldn't appeal to them. They couldn't, do any of these other things. And so Alfred just assumes that, like, they didn't have a direct reason for fucking with this, thing.
Well, what it is because the stolen gems, the bandits or mercenaries or whatever just gave them to
the local villagers.
To the tribal people.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not wanting to watch the world burn. I mean, that's just people hating their fucking government that's, let's be real, probably corrupt. Because we're dealing with gems in mines, and there's a long history that we won't go into, with political abuse and things like slavery and, child labor, things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I did have one last note, and that was replace the bland romance with Batman training others.
Yeah, we talked about that when watching. We were like...
Because there's this brief moment towards the beginning where there are people dressed up as Batman trying to, fight crime like him because he's, showing the people we can fight back against the corruptness that's stricken our city.
And then Batman beats them up and shames them, and then says that you can't fight these people because you're not rich like me. You can't afford the equipment. So instead of actually helping them learn how to fight or, helping, by giving them resources, he just says, fuck you.
And he leaves them tied up with Scarecrow. That's just one of these men here. Scarecrow is a dangerous villain. And the others, yeah, sure, they were taking the laws into their own hands, but, there's
so
a huge...
You.
Yeah. It's the fucking bat-shaped kettle calling the pot black. Or the other way around, I don't know how sayings go.
It's a whole thing, and we had a thought of, like, why doesn't Bruce just, like... Why wouldn't this be, like, the introduction to, like, Dick Grayson?
It's perfect.
The lead into something like that, and have that be, like, the emotional core of this movie. That would be really cool, but Christopher Nolan didn't want to do Robin, I guess, so...
The movies are just so against bringing in any of the Bat family. And I think, I believe I mentioned this with The Dark Knight Rises or Returns or whatever. They are afraid... because of the previous Batman movies, like Batman Forever, movies like that, the campy ones. They're afraid of the camp because, and say it with me, kids, they're cowards.
Christopher Nolan is a coward. He is a deep, deep coward, and I'm glad that we're done with this trilogy and we don't have to talk about his movies anymore. I'm not going to talk about any of his other movies. I don't care. I watched Interstellar. I watched Tenet. They're not that interesting.
I've never seen a non-Batman Christopher Nolan.
The only one that was slightly interesting was Inception, but that was mainly just because of Leonardo DiCaprio chewing scenery, much like Heath Ledger does in this one, though not quite as well.
If that's his most interesting movie, I couldn't make it past the first 20 minutes. So I don't think I'll be checking out any other movie by Nolan.
Yeah, definitely don't. They're bad. We're not going to talk about any of his other movies. But we should go into the remakes.
Yes. Would you like to begin, my darling?
I sure can. I don't have a huge amount to change in this movie. I think a lot of the pieces that are involved aren't bad. I think they're just underutilized. I cannot remember if I had Rachel Dawes in Batman Begins, in my remake of Batman Begins.
I don't either.
I think I did. I think I had Rachel in it.
I think you did keep her. I mean, to be fair, you don't have to think about your previous remakes with this one.
I don't have to, but I would like to keep it in mind. But I also have horrible memory issues, so I guess I can't. I think the biggest thing I would do for this movie is I would take out Harvey Dent.
Oh.
Yeah. I know it's a weird decision. I know it's a big decision. I know we really didn't talk about Harvey Dent in our discussion of issues. But Harvey Dent himself, the actor, does a great job. There's cool character moments for the most part. But what he does is that he forces attention away from the actual important and fun things in the movie. And he also, his presence is what creates the first half of the movie. Like, the mob, dealings with the mobs, dealings with Rachel, that all happens because it's setting up Harvey Dent. It has to be that because of Harvey Dent's presence. He warps this whole movie around him in a really bad way. I think what I would do is I would pitch this movie as a gang war between the remnants of the Maroney crime family and the upcoming Joker gang. And it just becomes this it builds into this all-out pitched battle between these two forces. Neither of them fully care about Batman. The Joker cares a lot about Batman, but his gang is different. He hates the old guard because they're so antithetical to what he wants to do with Gotham. And Batman is just trying to find something to just shut this shit down. But I don't think it would be a focus on Batman specifically. I think he would just be caught in the middle of these two very powerful forces going at it. It would start, pretty slow. You start with the mob bank robbery. You have the lead into the different mob bosses meeting together, the Joker infiltrating the meeting, making threats. I don't think he would say, I'm going to kill the Batman. He's saying he's just going there to threaten them and get in their faces. Batman's working to crack down on the mob with the help of Rachel. Rachel being the DA at this point is... she was assistant DA, and then the DA died, and she didn't become the fucking DA.
That's a good point. I never thought about that.
So Rachel's the DA, and Batman's working with her already. Gordon's working with them. They just continue on their business. They try to shut down Maroney crime family. You have Rachel, who's the one who's almost shot, instead of Harvey. She is the punch-out a mobster. That'd be a cool fucking moment. Let's give Rachel something to do.
Yeah.
But it's that's threatening, and then Gordon is like, oh, we gotta make sure you've got security, stuff with Lau can stay. Joker takes the opportunity of Batman not being in Gotham to strike at the Maroney crime family in a big way. Very sudden, big move happening simultaneously with the Lau stuff. It's this big action thing. And then with Lau back, with extra pressure on the Maroney crime family, Gordon is starting to realize the Joker's actually a powerful presence, and we've underestimated him, and that was been a major mistake. And we have to take care of the Maroneys, but we have to deal with the Joker at the exact same time, or else it could be really, really bad. And it's back and forth trying to set up these legal proceedings with increased attacks, and the Joker sets up these dangerous things. He tries to assassinate. He assassinates Commissioner Loeb. He assassinates the judge. to keep the police and the justice system in disarray, not to help the Maronis, but to keep them scrambling so that they can't mount a good defense over to what's coming, which is just this like big sudden strike all over the city all at once from a bunch of people in the Joker's gang. And like, yeah, the Joker knows that like at the end of the day, most of his gang is going to get killed. He's going to get captured, and the police will shut it down. But like that moment of like 10 different groups all striking the city at once and killing civilians, that will stay in the public consciousness forever. That would be one of the most extreme terror attacks in America ever. And, you know, it would be this huge thing. Nobody would forget it. And Batman finds out about this, and he does this big thing to, you know, shut them down. It's like the whole thing. We could figure out the details of that later. But like, that's ultimately where the movie ends. You know, Joker gets captured, Maroni guys get shut down, all this other stuff. You have the same general things, and maybe you can have a lead into Harvey Dent for the third one. But like, I just don't think he needs to be there. Have Rachel do all the shit that he does. Mm-hmm. Rachel doesn't need to die. If her true purpose is dying, then she can die in the fucking final Joker attack, I guess. And then
let her die heroically instead of
like how she did, which was just being like, "Oh, I love you, Harvey Dent." Boom.
Yeah, Harvey, I'll marry you. Oh, and I'm dead.
Yeah.
No, I like this. I like the cohesion it adds. Like, you're really focusing in on the Joker, the mob, and Batman. These are the three moving parts. You know, you can really just focus in on that. I enjoy that.
Yeah. And I don't want it, and I want the emphasis to not really be on Batman, because I don't like it when grand plans all revolve around a protagonist, because the audience knows that the plan's never going to succeed. Maybe it was never supposed to succeed because the protagonist has plot armor. You know, like if a plan is set up around other characters who aren't the protagonist, then audience knows this might actually succeed. You know? Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, the whole thing. And this still leaves a lot of room for Heath Ledger chewing scenery. You know, it still leaves a lot of room for Joker to do cool, fun speeches and shit. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I do like that a lot. I think there's so much potential there.
Yeah, and you can keep it simple. It's Batman. We don't need to make it super crazy. I know it's hard, but it's very simple. But like, it's not the worst thing in the world either. Like, I'm okay with Batman movies being simple. I'm okay with Batman movies actually, you know, being very, very straightforward. I will say my idea is more of a movie than this one. But it's still very, very simple. It's basically a Marvel plot. Marvel plots aren't the worst thing in the world. I don't like how they're written, like in details, but I have come to appreciate a good Marvel plot. You know, there's a nice simplicity, and when you're dealing with very complex things, sometimes you just need a nice simplicity. It's okay. They're the potato chips of movies, but potato chips are delicious. I will chow down a bag of potato chips.
You know, that is very important to remember. The potato chips are an important part of the diet as well. I mean that unironically.
Oh, no.
We all need like a little sodium and the other stuff that's in potato chips.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead on your remake? One final note about my remake, I should say. I think this would also be a good place for Robin, like in the remake that I would do, because it's open enough. I feel like having Robin even be like a low, like a kid who got swept up in the gang life, and then Batman kind of rescues him from it. Like,
yeah,
that could be work. There's places for him. Dick Grayson, my boy.
We'll just move on with my remake. Mm-hmm. which will be as long-winded as I usually make them. I have no apologies. So, really, I'm going to mostly ignore what my previous remakes were for the other two in this trilogy. Partially because I may have forgotten some of the finer details. Partially because I just want to focus in on this. Rachel still does not need to be here. I know, I like what you did, make her the actual DA, give her something to do. But in here, I want her completely gone. This movie, none of these movies need the romance that she brings.
Mm-hmm.
It does, however, need Batman to start stepping out of his shell and realizing, yeah, he cannot do all of this alone. So we'll still have people who dress up in costumes to fight crime, but instead of writing them off, he's realizing, oh shit, I really am inspiring people. You know, he knows these citizens are mostly untrained, they're endangering themselves. He has resources, though. He can help them help him help Gotham. And it ties into the previous movie's theme of, like, inspiration. And inspiring people to step up. In case Nolan forgot the themes of his previous movie. He did.
Yes.
You know, and this shows Batman daring to step out of his comfort zone, daring to actually interact in a meaningful way with people. He's making connections. One of these...
Sounds like a theme.
Exactly. And one of these connections being Harvey Dent. I want that classic, both alter egos are interacting with Dent, but Dent doesn't realize they're the same person. So Bruce is still going to be a bit antagonistic, though it's not out of jealousy over a woman. Bruce just has issues and does not fully understand how to be a person. So this is what he does. Batman, however, treats Dent differently. Of course, they're at odds. It's a bit of a Romeo and Juliet thing where Harvey can't be seen with him, you know, but he saves Gotham. You know, he's technically a vigilante, so there's a bit of that going on. Crooked cops still want to lock him up, but Dent, you know, he still admires him. And I just want these two to have more screen time together. Because Harvey Dent, like, talks so good about Batman in the movie.
Yeah.
But, like, there's no real interaction, and I want that here. And I really want to show the growth in their relationship. I'm not saying there needs to be romance between Batman and Harvey Dent. But if there were some longing looks and subtext, I wouldn't say no.
The problem that I have with that, it's a great idea. I just like Catwoman a bit too much.
I mean, that's fair. She'll be in the next one. Harvey Dent's not gonna last.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. It's okay. I can do it because I'm queer. So either way the relationship goes, romantic or platonic, actually seeing that play out will make Harvey's switch to Two-Face so much more heart-wrenching and powerful. Because, you know, in The Dark Knight, it's this, oh, I'm sad over my girl with no personality except, you know, nagging. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. We need to make it more organic. Let's talk about Alfred real quick. You know, going back to the famous line, some people just want to watch the world burn. That's gonna be here, but instead of this weirdly, like, kind of xenophobic and just total unhinged moment, like, it makes no sense. When he's saying it here, you know, the ones that want to watch the world burn are the government people that don't care, or, you know, that don't care about the civilians, you know, and he's going to, like, really say it and show them about governments not caring about their citizens, or, you know, indigenous populations, the little people, you know, and I want him to actually make a poignant point, instead of making Alfred out to be this, like, pro-government bastard. And I should say plot-wise, I'm fine with keeping the main beats mainly the same. You know, Joker comes into town to fuck some shit up, messes with the mob. He's after both Batman and Dent, yada yada. Not much needs to change. Except, I do want a sort of jealousy with the Joker. Because, like, he's fascinated by Batman, right? You know, he thinks, you know, that's the peanut butter to his jelly. But he thinks, you know, Batman shouldn't be training others to be like him. that makes things more common, less fun. So he's going to be targeting the people that Batman is training. Not only that, he can tell how Batman and Dent feel about each other. Joker wants to squeeze between that, test the relationship to the limits.
Oh, dear God.
I always have to make things as queer as possible. This could just be platonic.
I don't know about gay Joker. I don't know if we need to accept him.
I mean, it's already been canonically in like the comics and different media that the Joker, I wouldn't call it love, but it's this deep, deep obsession. And I mean, even if it's like not like a romantic sort of love, he just wants to be like in the middle of what they're doing. And you know, if someone's close to the Batman, Joker's obviously going to want to take him out. I mean, look what he's done to every other Bat family member.
That's a fair point. That's a very fair point.
So obviously something still needs to happen that makes Dent become Two-Face. This time, when he's kidnapped, there's no Rachel to blow up for man-pain, but Batman has other people he cares about now. People he's taken under his wing. So he goes to save Dent, yeah, but he doesn't fully realize that the Joker is taking the opportunity to kill his students. And there's going to be several of them. Batman wasn't just training one guy. Not only that, but Joker also ends up killing innocent civilians in the process because, of course he does. He's the Joker. He wants death and chaos. So essentially, Dent's life was traded for a lot of other people's, or rather, you know, a lot of other people's lives are traded for Dent's, and that's something he cannot handle very well. And also, I mean, he was just through this traumatic event. You know, he's got survivor's guilt. He may probably also have a little bit of, like, you know, when people get brain damage and serious injuries like this, it's very possible that something is just snapping in Dent, you know, to help make him Two-Face now. So Dent is blaming himself, blaming Batman, blaming Gordon, because goddammit, Gordon, you could have helped Dent clean up the police force, but you didn't. That blood is now equally on your hands in his eyes. And a lot of things are going to play out pretty similar after this. Hospital being blown up, Joker making off with a bunch of hostages, Dent going on a rampage. However, I don't want him to hurt or try to hurt Gordon's family. He can use them as bait, but I want this Two-Face to only go after people he believes deserve it. He's taking fate into his own hands, but he has some mercy. You know, he wants to even the playing field for people he thinks deserve to go up against fate again. And a major difference, you know, plot-wise, is that after the hostages are saved, I don't want the Joker to be there waiting. I want him to be where Dent is. He's still going to get taken out first, but I want the Joker to have set up some camera to try and broadcast to the world that Dent has lost it, that now he's a villain. And it's only visual, however, because, you know, somehow it got damaged in the fight, so no audio was coming through, but the visual is still there, and it's enough. Because clear as day, everyone can see Batman kill Harvey Dent. And of course, you know, they don't realize it's by accident, they don't realize Dent was on a killing spree, but Batman doesn't want them to know. He'll take the fall. It's the least he can do for Dent, for everyone he let down. And I think this is going to lead really well into the next movie. Batman can't fathom working with others again, risking their lives. He's a broken man. We're going to give him real reasons to be broken.
That's pretty good. I do like that. I will say, this is not necessarily an insult. It's very fan fiction.
Oh yeah, it is fan fiction, but I believe it's also really fanfiction to create a non-canon character and to write her getting together with the main protagonist.
Yeah.
Nolan.
Yeah, okay, that's a fair point. I think your remake's good. I think you definitely go in more on like inter-character complexity, and that's fairly interesting, and I think that could work really well in this. I think you would definitely feel the runtime on that movie. Not necessarily in a horrible way, but there's a lot to it. It's a dense movie.
Right.
And with the runtime that's already there, a dense movie is doing you no favors. But I do think that there is a lot of good in it. So I think I would still finish it.
Yeah, I mean, if Nolan dares to try to put a nearly 3-hour movie in front of us that was this one, the public can handle my queer Batman and Harvey Dent fanfic.
That's very fair. I liked it. I think it worked really well.
Thank you. I don't have any particular, thoughts about who the people he'd be training up are. I imagine maybe some, actual canon characters, maybe a few new ones. It doesn't really matter, they're dead. So maybe mine wouldn't have Dick Grayson because he's going to be in the next movie, Little Orphan Boy.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Maybe we can allude to some smaller characters.
There's plenty of them to choose from. Yeah, no, I don't really got many other notes. There's not a huge amount to say. I would say both these are a stark improvement. Christopher Nolan. So yeah.
A director I would fight in the parking lot of a Denny's at 3 a.m.
So we're not gonna be able to remake this, obviously,
right?
Because I think we have threatened Christopher Nolan's life several times now.
I haven't threatened his life.
Wow.
I mean, just because I'm going to fight him in a Denny's doesn't mean I'm going to kill him.
I don't know if that would hold up in court. But if any of y'all know Christopher Nolan and somehow convince him to let you remake his movies, feel free to use these ideas. And then let us know when they're done so that he can't interfere with it. And we would love to see them. Give us a heads up.
If anyone out there wants to write the Batman Harvey Dent 102 chapter fic for me, I mean, just, send me the link.
Definitely. That's a definite go-to. If you want to write fan fiction about our ideas, 100%, we say go for it.
Absolutely. At me on Twitter. Vox_Salz, which is SALZ, which is not my last name in full. It's a weird shortening of my last name that I don't know why I do.
So, you can definitely do that, or you can at me at the Wisps of Time, or you can at the podcast, because we take a look at that Twitter. Just let us know, and we hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.